NFL just passed the rule. Kickoffs are basically going to the XFL format, which is great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. They already kind of messed with the kickoff where the players couldn't run until the ball was kicked or whatever. I like this because they're trying to make it where kickoffs are returned. So there's also no more fair catch on kickoffs. Like the ball can go out of the end zone, that's different, but you can't fair catch or do whatever. But so it ensures that kickoffs can be returned, but then they also cut down the injuries because now you're not getting that running head start. You'll see probably a lot more running backs be kickoff returners now. Bert, what do you like that? You like the new kickoff rule in the NFL?
Well, yeah, it's going to make it more exciting, right? I mean, the fact that there's no fair catch, and to erase the injury, right? Like they can't move until the player catches it, and then they get their running start. But it's also going to lead to potential more kickoff or kick returns. What's not to like about this?
Yeah.
Rather than or half the time, oh, let me kick it into the end zone. Let's have more TV timeouts and slow down the game even more. Like to me, this is nothing but upside. But I do know a lot of people are pissed about it, and I get it, right? You've been doing something for so long. Why change it now? This seems like a gimme for some special teams, but that's something you work on. That's something you practice. Everybody is in the same boat. This isn't like the tush push situation where, oh no, they're doing this. How do we stop it? Or how do we do it? Or anything like that. It is the same rule everybody has to play. You know about it now. So when camp hits, start practicing it and go from there. But I'm all for this.
Dwayne Marcus, XFL, changing the game. You were big time hating on The Rock. No, I'm joking. I just need.
I don't like The Rock right now, so I'm not going to say anything nice about it.
Yeah, I can't believe you did that to Cody, man. Fuck that, man. That's crazy. So XFL kickoff. I hope they adopt the XFL overtime rules. I like that. Basically, penalty shootout. And for XFL overtime, I would really like to see the NFL go to that next. But so the kickoff has changed. They also moved. I forgot to mention they moved the kickoff back, right? So it's going to be harder for like end zone kicks or touchbacks. So they're trying to eliminate that too. For what Bert said, eliminating touchbacks and kind of extra time off, or adding more time to the game. So you kind of eliminate that. So there's the good. The kickoff is there. They fixed it. Let's see if it works. It's technically only for this year as a trial, but we'll see. Shout out to the XFL and the NFL's partnership, because when this got announced, that was the whole point. XFL was going to be a test ground for things that that the NFL would want to try. And I knew when I first saw this, Bert and Dwayne Marcus, that it had a good shot at being adopted by the NFL. The setup makes too much sense, especially when they talk about cutting down injuries and all that other stuff. I hope they do the overtime rule. But this is working out in XFL's favor because it's turning into the minor league for the NFL where they can try new ideas and concepts and that the NFL can adopt later. But there's the good side. Now here's the bad side, Dwayne Marcus. NFL, we're now one step closer to flag football, two-hand touch. They are banning the hip drop tackle. When I saw that come across my headline,
I don't understand this.
I do. I understand. Okay. I don't understand it, but I do understand why they made the decision, because of the amount of injuries that happened this past season that I guess based on their tape has been attributed to hip drop tackles. But when I watched the tape that they had sent out to all the NFL teams explaining what is going to be flagged, to me, none of them were hip drop tackles. So it was like they were just plays that players got hurt. So basically you can't tackle anybody from behind anymore. Or if you do, you're going to have to just hold the person and wait for another person to come help you take them down. But Dwayne Marcus, NFL banning the hip drop tackle. Go.
First of all, there's no such thing as a hip drop tackle.
Talk to him.
This is just basic physics. Someone's in front of you.
That's two college degrees talking. That's two college degrees talking to you, Roger Goodell.
Someone's in front of you and you're trying to bring them down. You're going to have to apply some type of force to do that. If that means you have to drop your hip to make that happen, so be it. Also, NFL, lower extremity injuries were down 40% last year compared to the year before. And the only reason why we were getting torn ACLs and all this other stuff is because everyone was playing at MetLife last year.
Yeah.
It's For the love of God, I hate the NFL so much. I really do. Because the NFL consistently every year finds something else to be the problem other than the actual problem. Like if we just play football on grass, the way it was played 100 years ago, we wouldn't have. What is turf toe? What is that? Do you think Bart Starr was getting turf toe back in the 1915s? No, he didn't get turf toe. It's not a thing. Turf toe has existed for 5-10 years because for some reason the NFL is obsessed with playing on turf. I don't understand why it is. Like, there's no such thing as a hip drop tackle. If someone's in front of you and you want to bring them to the ground and you can't tackle them or like throw your body weight at them at their head because then they'll die of CTE, you have to bring them down by their legs. This is physics. I didn't have a physics teacher in high school because my physics teacher was disgusting, couldn't keep his hands to himself. And I still understand that this is basic physics. I don't understand what the issue is here. Hip drop tackle. You kidding me? You know the big so now what's going to end up happening is cornerbacks aren't going to get paid as much. They're not going to get drafted as much. Linebackers aren't going to get paid as much. They're not going to get drafted as much. Like, we might as well just not play defense. You know what we might as well do? We might as well just line up two offenses in front of either end zones and just give them a clock and say you have 15 minutes to score as many touchdowns as you possibly can. That's basically what we need to do. Because
like running clock style, like soccer?
Running clock style.
Or just football?
Just give me – the real – let's talk about that too.
The real football.
Because we even use our feet over here to play football. This is hip drop tackles aren't a thing. That's not an exist. There's tackles and there's not tackles. Is there a proper way to tackle? Yes. Does Dwayne Marcus know the proper way to tackle? Yes. Was I good at it? No. That's why I talk about sports instead of playing sports. But I don't get it, bro. Like the NFL finds more ways. They find a bunch of things that are problems like that aren't actually problems. What we need to be doing is we need to be disciplining all these players that think it's okay to beat on women. That's what we should be concerned about. But no, we want to spend up changing kickoff rules and not doing all this. I hate the NFL, bro. The NFL,
it's dumb.
Leagues, of all the sports leagues, from a competition standpoint, the NFL might be the worst. I know we just sat here and talked about the All-Star game not being competitive, but like, at least NBA games in general are competitive. Like, I don't. This is dumb. Who does this benefit, really? You know what? No. This is what needs to happen. What needs to happen is next year in the AFC Championship game when the Chiefs are playing in it again. What needs to happen is Chris Jones needs to be flagged for this, and this is what needs to happen. Chris Jones needs to be flagged for a hip drop tackle, and then it'll go away, and it won't be a thing next year. As long as it happens to the Chiefs, and it happens to the Chiefs in a way that's not advantageous to them, this will go away. That's why the tuck rule exists. If that happened to any other quarterback, there would not be a tuck rule. That's what needs to happen. We need to start taking every rule and just letting it happen to the Chiefs in a way that doesn't benefit them. And then all the rules we don't like will go back to the way it should be. So, yeah, Chris Jones in the AFC Championship game next year needs to be flagged for a hip drop so that they can't three-peat. And I promise you there's going to be enough uproar where they're going to take the rule and they're going to change it.
What is the penalty for this? Is it a 5-yard? What is it?
It's a 15-yard penalty and automatic first down.
Oh, my God.
Big time. Big penalty. Big time penalty. Let me double check that. I think I just said that without.
No, it is not.
No, that's
this is just another way for the refs to fix the game.
Also,
and
by
make
the way,
money.
The refs in the NFL, the worst in the country.
Yeah.
So now we're giving the worst refs in the country a penalty that they get to call at their discretion.
Yeah.
There's no clear definitions, like roughing the passer. The roughing the passer calls aren't really clear with their definitions, right? Like we know what holding is, we know what pass interference is, all that stuff, right? You get those things wrong, come on, dude. Like it's right there in the book. There's no clear definition of what a hip drop tackle is. This is what it is, and it's up to your discretion whether or not you think this happened or not. The worst refs in the country get to decide whether or not it's a hip drop or not, and it's 15 yards and automatic first down.
So. Somebody, NFL research just said that quote unquote, hip drop tackles only accounted for 1% of the amount of tackles in the NFL last season. So instead of worrying about terrible pass interference, instead of worrying about terrible pass interference calls and not fixing that and fixing the NFL referees, they're worried about hip drop tackles and things of that nature because a couple players got injured on artificial turf, which is another whole thing that they should be talking about instead of the type of tackling players are doing. And so they changed that bum ass rule, losers. But shout out to the Detroit Lions for fixing a problem that never should have began in the first place. They successfully got the NFL to change the challenge rule, where if you each team gets 2 challenges, right, as normal. But last year, if you lost a challenge and won a challenge, you don't get the challenge again. You just get 2 challenges to use. Their argument is, why would I get punished for getting a challenge right? I should keep that challenge. I should get 2 successful challenges, not just 2 challenges overall. So now, if you get 1 challenge right or 1 challenge wrong, you get your 3rd challenge. Obviously, if you get both challenges right, you get that 3rd challenge. You basically can keep 2 challenges, correct challenges throughout the entirety of the game, which I think is a smart thing. The NBA doesn't do that either. The NBA doesn't give you back your challenge.
I think eventually what they'll do, and this might be the beginning of it, is it'll just be you have 2 challenges until you get 2 wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
Eventually,
that's basically what they're doing right now.
And I think that'll help counteract the bad officiating. Can I just say one more thing real quick while we're on the topic of crappy officials? Germ, as a firefighter, right? If your boss thought that you were bad at your job, or if my boss thought I was bad at my job, or if Bert's boss thought he was bad at his job, you know what none of our bosses would do?
What?
They wouldn't add another thing onto our plate for us to be bad at.
Yeah,
they wouldn't do that. Yeah. They wouldn't do that. They would make sure that we know. They would make sure that we've mastered the things that are already on our plates. Why are we adding another rule?
Professional sports officiating is going to be one of those. Look, as long as Angel Hernandez still has a job in baseball year over year, the NFL has an excuse to literally tell the same officials last year to get back out on there. What gets me is they have the easiest fix. All leagues have the easiest fix when it comes down to officiating, and it's make it all reviewable.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you want to make
the counter. That's
longer?
the counter, Bert. Yeah. That's the counter. Make everything reviewable. That's the counter.
And we've talked about this before. It doesn't mean you have to stop play for 3 minutes and review it. Have a booth full of officials and just train them and just, hey, take a look at it. This is the thing I think the NHL does really well is with the pace of that game and how quick it is and also how quick the puck moves, if a team scores a goal, if it bounces in the net and bounces back out and the officials on the ice don't catch it and they say no goal because they thought it hit a post or something, play will resume. But that play is being reviewed in Toronto. And if they determine it's a goal, they'll sound a horn, play stops, they award the goal, and then they start a face-off no matter what. Nice. So that it's stuff like that where they can apply it to literally anything. And the NHL has just announced that there are 2 different plays next year that are going to be reviewable penalty-wise. One, if you're in the defensive zone, you flip the puck out of the play, so out of the rink, whether it's over the glass into the crowd. Usually that's a penalty for delay of game. Now that will be reviewable. So if it is tipped or if it tips the glass or anything, it won't count towards the penalty. And I think there's a high sticking that they're going to review to assess major versus minor and intent and stuff like that. So some leagues are slowly chipping away at it. The NFL is Twin Marcus, to your point, was just hey, you guys are terrible. Here's a major penalty that'll have game implications, but we're not going to make it reviewable. Are you fucking kidding me?
You got Dean Blandino, God bless his soul. And what's the other dude what's that other in Pereira? I think he still does
Mike Pereira.
And there's one more guy I can't think of. His name starts with a G. Gene Steratore. You get all these guys to pop up, and Jim Nantz goes, "Man, I don't know, Gene. What do you think about this call?" And Gene gets in here. He's like, "Well, what you're looking for?" And then they show us on these 50 million different camera angles, and the refs still get it wrong. And then we challenge it, and then you still get – at this point, you know what? I get it. We're humans. Humans make mistakes. But when you are paid to officiate a football game, your mistakes should not have an effect on the outcome of the game. Why don't we just let Pereira and Blandino and Steratore make all the decisions, since they seem to know the rule books off the back of their hands and get all these other doofuses off the field? Why do we have so many replay angles if they're not being used to review penalties and things?
Just to anger the viewer. That's it.
Told you how we're going to fix it. Chris Jones is going to get called for this stupid penalty in the AFC Championship game, and the Chiefs are going to be pissed. And Router's going to go, you know what? We need a new dynasty, and so we're going to put it away so that the Chiefs can go back to running the league. That's how it's going to go. That's all it takes. It needs to happen to the Chiefs one time, and it won't be a thing anymore.
XFL did a really good job with their officiating, and as Bert was talking, that was the first thing I thought of, because I remember we talked about it, like how the guys up there in the box with the Xbox controller quickly just made a determination, hey, that you're wrong about that, and it took no time at all, like no time to overturn a bad play. So. I hopefully they get it right, but you know whose fault all this is.
Liberal media.
There it is.